There is nothing special from Ma'soom which says that these 5 are principles of our faith. This is mostly something which has been developed historically, because through ages many controversial issues arose among Muslims, and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, to distinguish, they focused on these principles. For example, inshallah, when we talk about justice, inshallah, I will explain why they focused on the issue of justice. Although all Muslims believe Allah is just, there is no Muslim who says Allah is not just. But the way that justice is understood is very different. So our ulama have chosen the issue of justice as a very important factor in forming our identity as a follower of the school of Ahlul Bayt. Or for example, imamate, which is something that if you study books on Kalam, you find that all Muslims, except Khawarij, they believe in imamate. All Muslims, they believe in imamate. But the way we understand imamate is different from the way that other Muslims understand. So, our ulama have articulated our doctrinal identity by stressing on 5 points, to the extent that whoever believes in these 5 can be considered as a Shia. To believe in Tawheed, in divine justice, prophethood, imamat, and resurrection or ma'at. If someone believes in some of these, so he's not a full-fledged Shia. Something similar was adopted by the Mu'tazilite theologians, who are somehow close to us in being rational, but they have also some differences. They also chose 5 principles as their own doctrinal, foundations. For example, they also stress on justice. Salaam alaikum. But then they have some other things. For example, they have Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar as one of their principles, because this was something which was very important for them, to say that to enjoin the good, you can sometimes resort to the force. So to stress on this, they made this as one of their principles of religion. Or for example, they had an idea which is known as a status between 2 status, manzilatun bayna manzilatayn. Because in early Islam, there was a controversy about the people who commit major sin, murtakibul kabira. If someone commits a major sin, is he a Muslim or a kafir, a mu'min or kafir? This was a big debate. Some people thought the one who commits a major sin becomes like Khawarij. The Khawarij thought that whoever commits a major sin, for example, if someone doesn't say his prayer, if someone tells lies, he becomes kafir. This was the view of Khawarij. This is why they were easily fighting and killing many Muslims, saying that you have become kafir. There were people who were saying that they are mu'min. There were people like Mu'tazilite who said they are neither mu'min nor kafir. What are they? They said this is something in between. Manzilatun bayna manzilat. This is something between iman and kufr. But they didn't that much articulate that. Anyway, what I am trying to say is that we must have good idea and good understanding of the history of every school of Islam and the way their doctrines have been articulated. I'm saying the way have been articulated. I know the way that the doctrines have been, for example, developed. Because what we believe is the same thing that was believed in the beginning. There is nothing added to that. But the way you articulate, you make it clear, you make it systematic, it's different. So, for us, these 5 are very important, and historically these 5 have been chosen so that it can establish our identity. The first is Tawheed. Why Tawheed? Why not the existence of God? Because existence of God is more fundamental. Because first you must say that there is God, and then you say God is one. Why you start with unity of God? This is because existence of God is not that much considered to be questionable. If you read the Quran, you find that except in very few cases, the emphasis has always been on unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not on the fact that there is God. There are some cases that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this, but very, very little. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. This is a rational argument. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, are these people created from nothing, or they themselves are creators? If someone doesn't believe in Allah as his creator, so he must choose one of these 2 options. Either he must say that he has been created from no creator, from nothing, which is impossible. Or to say that I have created myself. I am myself a creator. This is also impossible. You must exist so that you can do something. How can you create yourself without being existent? So very simply, very rationally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rejects any idea that someone may say that I have come into existence without being created. Or in another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفِلَّهِ شَكٌ فَاطِرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Is there any doubt about Allah, the creator of heavens and earth? So Allah takes it very obvious that He exists. And this is because deep inside every person, there is an innate knowledge about God. Although this innate knowledge may not be that much active, in some people may be passive, but in certain circumstances, this can become very active. For example, when we are faced with dangers, with threats, when our hope of being saved by anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is lost, then all of a sudden we see that we attend to someone who can save us. As is famous hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam suggests that a person went to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and said, how can I know that God exists? And Imam alayhi salam asked him, have you ever been on board in ship, for example, traveling on ship or boat? He said yes. Imam said, has ever been very critical situation, seeing that you are going to die, you are going to sink, you cannot save yourself? He said yes. Imam said, in that particular time, did it come to you that there is someone who can save you? He said yes. Imam said, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is this innate knowledge in every human being. There are also rational arguments. There are many arguments for the existence of God. And some Muslim philosophers also have developed very nice argument for the existence of God, which does not need anything other than God Himself. And this is called Burhan al-Siddiqeen. This is the argument